special center in our area is helping people speak again after a brain injury or stroke.
Dr. Jay Adler is here now with more. Jay?
Shade, Diana, imagine if a stroke or an accident injuring the brain left you without the ability to speak. That's one type of aphasia, a problem with understanding and expressing language. Some doctors think there's only so much improvement that a person can make. One center is trying to prove them wrong.
He owns this building that has a broken door.
We're at the Adler Aphasia Center to witness a mock court with a mock jury, a mock plaintiff, and a judge wearing a mock English judge's wig. The wig is not for fun, but to give a visual clue to everyone here with aphasia, brain damage from a stroke or brain injury. Aphasia means trouble speaking or understanding speech, reading, and writing. This center and its activities strive to improve patients even more than when they left formal medical care.
Most improvement does happen within the first 6 months, but that's not to say that they won't continue to improve the rest of their life, and that's very much what we're about.
Vahan Koyan had a stroke a few years ago. As usual with aphasics, his intellect is completely intact, but speaking. What do you like about this place? What has it done for you?
Yeah,
Second home.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a place to socialize for patients to break away from being in solitary with their aphasia. There are workout classes and this one. This is a computer class using specialized software for aphasia and language so that people can relearn language skills. Language skills that patients are afraid to use after aphasia hits. Mike Adler and his wife started the center after Mike's stroke. He eavesdrops on the court, which tries to get members involved so they speak again.
To get the aphasics to lose yourself in thought and talk and talk and talk.
The center is supported by individual and corporate grants for 90% of its budget and member fees of about $1,600 a year for the other 10%. By the way, the members are putting on a production of South Pacific, specifically written for them later on in the year. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Specially written movements, gestures, music.
WNJN Montclair, broadcasting from the campus of Montclair State University.
Aphasia is a communications disorder that often accompanies stroke or head injury. It affects the ability to speak, making many patients feel isolated. But now, as health and medical correspondent Sarah Lee Kessler reports, there's an effort to raise awareness.
These aphasia patients, some of whom are retired business owners, are learning to make change all over again, just as they're relearning words they've known since childhood.
We do it. Okay. Very good.
Aphasia affects an estimated 1 million Americans, many of whom are already battling mobility problems caused by stroke or brain trauma. Aphasia is a different type of hurdle.
Aphasia is basically a short circuit in the brain. There's a short circuit between the ability to think and the ability to communicate.
And the frustration of not being able to say lead to isolation and withdrawal, and you don't want to speak, and you embarrassed to talk.
Mike Adler, who developed aphasia 11 years ago following a stroke, says that's why he founded this Bergen County aphasia program. The Adler Aphasia Center in Maywood offers speech therapy and camaraderie in a non-judgmental setting.
Oftentimes people with aphasia are mistaken for being stupid or deaf. Here, without even a word, everyone's in the same boat, and that increases their comfort level.
So do nonverbal activities such as art and music.
And as their self-esteem rises, so does their willingness to answer the phone and go out to a family function, enjoy a grandchild's birthday party. That's very important.
She's going to buy a newspaper and she's going to buy the cup of coffee.
Motivation and empowerment are important tools that help people with aphasia get on with their lives. Sarah Lee Kessler, NJN News, Maywood.
We've been taking a closer look this week at strokes, the third leading cause of death in this country, and at the advances in treating those who survive. Some victims lose their ability to speak, but tonight Sharon Alfonsi reports there's new hope for them as we conclude our series, Road to Recovery.
Set. Very good.
Sometimes Eunice Bastillo struggles with the same words as her 6-year-old son.
No, say
A month after her 40th birthday, Eunice had a stroke and suffered aphasia, a condition that left her unable to speak.
And it was very, very, very depressing. I didn't want my son to see me.
Her son, John Dillon.
Were you scared when you saw Mommy in the hospital?
I thought she was going to die.
Aphasia happens when a blood vessel in the brain gets blocked or bursts, damaging the cells that control communication and speech.
How frustrating was that for you not to be able to find the words to comfort your family during that time?
It was very frustrating. The saddest thing for me was not to read to my son.
A year later, still unable to utter simple words, a doctor told Eunice she probably wouldn't benefit from more speech therapy. Dreams of reading to her son would have to be shelved.
And what did you think when they said that? This is it. This is as good as it's going to get for you.
I cried.
Tears formed the words Eunice couldn't express.
Hello.
Then she found her voice again. It happened at the Adler Aphasia Center in Maywood, New Jersey. The center is at the forefront of a new movement for longer-term therapy for aphasia patients.
Many of our members were told when they were discharged they would never get any better, that they had plateaued.
And many doctors tell patients after a year of therapy they won't get any better. So most insurance companies won't cover long-term programs. Adler offers its services for just $15 a week, so they can keep practicing for as long as it takes. They believe progress can be made well past the year mark. For Ken Albrecht, it's been happening one syllable at a time, forming sentences
I would,
so he can shape policy. He's a borough councilman from New Jersey, re-elected after his stroke.
We are demonstrating here every day that long-term rehabilitation and recovery is possible and happens over a lifetime.
Eunice now volunteers at the center.
Yes, bravo.
Inspiring patients during the day and an audience of one.
The oceans are full of ships.
Every night. Sharon Alfonsi, CBS News, Maywood, New Jersey.
Two of the most beautiful, talented people you ever see on One-on-One. Elaine Adler, co-founder of the Adler Aphasia Center, and Eunice Bastillo is the jewelry and design and teacher at the Adler Aphasia Center. Also happens to be living with aphasia. And this is a fascinating story, I got to tell you, on many levels. Before we go to Eunice talking about the jewelry design that you're working on and you're teaching at the Adler Aphasia Center, Elaine, I don't want to assume anyone knows what the Adler Aphasia Center is. Go.
Aphasia is the inability to communicate, mainly after a stroke. It's a left brain syndrome that crosses over to the right side and hits the speech pattern.
And you got into this because?
Because 18 years ago, my husband, who was a very high verbal person, Mike Adler, had bypass surgery. Everything was grand, wonderful, ready to go home, when a blood clot went to his brain and he became aphasic. He's a man who was so high verbal, he couldn't speak, he couldn't walk, and he couldn't talk. Well, that was 18 years ago. Today he's doing all of the above. And he said, I'm a lucky one. And I say, as a caregiver, I'm a very lucky one. Because we know what caregivers go through. Sometimes I say they can suffer more than even the person with the syndrome, because we have to take care of the person beyond everything else. Well, Mike said, I want to help those less fortunate. We own a building that was not being occupied, and we set it up to be inviting.
Right.
We don't call our people with aphasia clients or patients. We call them members.
And that's at the Adler Aphasia Center?
At the Adler Aphasia Center in Maywood, New Jersey.
2003 you started. By the way, NJ Biz, one of our good friends, great publication, picked you as one of the healthcare heroes in the state recently. And listen, and by the way, log on to the website, you'll find out more about the Adler Aphasia Center. But Eunice, I met you a couple years ago because I spent some time up at the center, let's say, a lot of events. And I'm sitting there going, look at this this beautiful jewelry that I see there. And I find out that Eunice is involved in making it. Now, you had a stroke when?
In 2003.
Okay, and you started going to the Adler Aphasia Center immediately?
Almost a year after.
So where does this jewelry come in? By the way, we're going to be getting great shots of the jewelry. So you were how old at the time, by the way?
I just turned 40 when I had my stroke.
So you go to the Adler Aphasia Center, and when I've been there, I see some amazing things going on. There's teaching, and there's team building, and there's projects, and all of a sudden I see jewelry. Mm-hmm. Where does the jewelry part come in?
Well, the reason I'm doing jewelry is because of the Adler Center. I had the they gave me the courage and the empowered me to go out and learn how to talk to somebody and get classes.
To teach?
To teach. Well, first to learn the classes and yes, to teach, yes.
What did you see in her?
I saw someone who had the strength, the ability, but truly decided that she was going to be successful. When Eunice came to us, she couldn't speak, but she cried because she wanted to read to her baby. That was her mission in life. She decided, if I may, she took her baby's alphabet book and she started to train herself. A, apple, B, ball, and she went on and on.
There's her family right there. You're talking about the family, right?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Who are we looking at, Eunice?
My son, John Dillon, my husband, John, and my four-legged son, Woody.
Wow. They've all been together because I've seen them at so many of the events at the center. The jewelry itself, and by the way, what's interesting here is that all the pieces that are made, there is, help me on this, this is a description of who, handmade by, this happens to be Rebecca Iovino, and handmade by Christine Burns. It tells who the folks are. Now, Elaine, of course, is modeling because she's a former model.
Yes.
And put it out there. Guys, get this?
All right.
Can you get that, Steve?
We have a tag on each piece of jewelry which does two things. Number one, it has an initial which indicates which of our members made the particular piece and the price. And we're very reasonable.
Talk about the price, because I've been able to get some wonderful pieces for my wife at some of the events at the Adler Aphasia Center. I mean, like 20, 25 bucks, 15 bucks, 30 bucks. Why so reasonable?
Well, bracelets are about $12, $15, and necklaces are about $25 to $40, $45. Reasonable because we have a great person with Krista who helps run the department, and we go out and we try to get the best. We go get coupons. We go on a website. We get great deals, and since we also buy on bulk, and we go to little retailers and they give us discounts. They know that we're that we have a store at the center, and we're doing what we're doing, and they know what we're doing, and they think that it's a great thing.
But hold on, wait a minute. Are you actually saying, Elaine, that as we put up the website, people can actually buy the jewelry right off the site?
Right. We even sell it right off the bod.
Absolutely.
We have one friend who's come to the center twice and bought a necklace from Karen's neck.
From Karen, hold on.
Karen
the executive
Tucker.
director, Karen,
yes,
she sees it on Karen and says, I want that. And Karen, of course, being a team player. By the way, Mike's business sense has clearly rubbed off. Your husband's business sense, great businessman as he is. Well, let's do this. We've been partners for many years, talked for many years, done educational programs on our sister series, Caucus, New Jersey. Before I let you out here, where are we today in terms of public awareness about aphasia? Are we anywhere near where we need to be?
Not at all. Not at all. I have a friend who runs Community Resource Council, and she had a very delicate case in the emergency room. And Diana told me that the people there really didn't diagnose it properly until she, who happened to have been a nurse, said, look at this, that, and the other thing. And the child had brain injury. Then she said, well, you know about aphasia. No one in that ER really knew what aphasia is.
And that's more common than we think.
Of course. When you think of traumatic brain injury, how about the GIs coming back?
Right.
Who can't speak, and no one really knows what's wrong with it.
Aphasia.
When I say no one, I'm saying
few.
The general public.
Right.
All they know is that the person can't speak. They don't know that the intelligence is there. Right. They just can't get it out. The frustration, the anger of these people. So when they come to our center, they're frightened, they're scared, but look at her. I think I'm better than she is.
Right.
Maybe I'm not as good as he is, but we've become friends. It's a family situation. If more people could realize that there is something called aphasia. Oh, my grandmother, I remember my grandmother couldn't speak. My grandmother had a stroke, she couldn't speak. But in those days, they didn't title it. We're trying. I say before I die, I'm going to get the word to be tip of the tongue. It would be a wonderful boon to these people who stay home and say, God, why me? Why me? When they could come to a place, and there were more and more of us growing. We have the National Aphasia Association in Manhattan. And I don't know off the top of my head.
That's okay, we'll log on to your website.
Yes, please name them, because they would direct people.
Let's just do this. Folks, log on to the website as we finish the segment. We've done so many segments in connection with the Adler Aphasia Center and the overall issue and the challenge of aphasia. We're trying to do the best we can. But Eunice, I have to tell you that you coming here and sharing your story, even the TV PBS version, and sharing your jewelry, and the fact that you're teaching as well at the Adler Aphasia Center is such a big deal. I know, I'm looking at Elaine, she's really proud of you. We are all proud of you, and keep it up. And keep up the work that you're doing at the Adler Aphasia Center. Elaine, give our best to Mike.
I shall.
And I'm sure I'll be there for the next one of the terrific plays they have there. And you're selling stuff all the time.
Had Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins. And she's always plugging. I like that about her.
I said they can't walk and they can't talk, but they did better than Broadway.
I was there. I saw it. Elaine and Eunice, thank you so much for being with us. This is a show called One-on-One. Every once in a while, when you have special people, it's one-on-two. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this. I'm here with the Honorable Governor Tom Kean. Governor, we were talking before about your former Secretary of State, Jane Bergio. We were talking about aphasia, the Adler Aphasia Center, the work they did with her. Talk a little bit about Jane, what she struggled with, and the importance of public awareness of aphasia.
Jane was the most wonderful person, served as Secretary of State in my administration, was a champion for the arts. Before that, she represented us as county in the legislature for a long time, always a leader among women's groups in the state. When she got aphasia, it doesn't affect you in a sense of knowing who you are. Your brain is perfectly all right, but you have problems expressing yourself. And Jane would come to these meetings that we held and things to help the arts or things celebrating our administration, and you could see her, and she was struggling to get out what she meant. And for somebody who'd been so articulate, for somebody who'd been part of a public life all her life, not to be able to say what she meant was so frustrating, and yet she was really helped by the other people who had aphasia, the society, really helped her understand and really helped her so that she could live with the disease.
Finally, Governor, we need to learn more about aphasia, its causes, its effects, and what we need to do.
We do. We need research. We need help. We need people to find out people who have aphasia so they can get the kind of help Jane did. Very, very important.